Welcome to Soul Via Soul, the podcast where we embark on a journey of self-love and true wellness. I'm your host, Jada, and I'm absolutely delighted to have you here with me as we dive into all things mind, body, and soul. Now, what do you say we get this thing started? Let's dive in. Hello. So let's start talking about the morning routine of highly successful people. Now, this gets a lot of chatter on Google searches and all sorts of things like that. And I will admit, I did a little bit of research before diving into this topic for today's podcast. What are the 10 morning, and you could even say evening routines of successful people? Millionaires, billionaires. What do they all do? Now, I listen to a couple of financial shows, and it's funny because we tend to think about this as this is what the habits of millionaires do. We define success in this sort of, okay, you're a millionaire, so you're now, boom, the world slaps you with the sticker of you're successful. So then we're curious, what do you do? What did you do to create that success? The thing about it is, routines, as boring as they are so very important for our ability to create success. Again, kind of using the financial shows that I watch as a model, they all talk about doing these certain things and putting them on autopilot when it comes to investing. You take this amount of money, you put it in your 401k and you set it and forget it, right? Like you just let it do its work. The job of compounding is going to be on your side and you just keep at it day in, day out. This boring type of autopilot thinking, pay yourself first, skim off the top, put it in investment, let it, just forget it. And then over time it grows. But it's a habit. It's a habit. And when we first create habits, we get pushback because our brains don't like change. We are hardwired to keep doing the things that we're familiar with, even if it's unhealthy. Even if it's not ultimately helping us get to our goals, it's familiar. That familiarity breeds, I want to say contentment, but it breeds continuing to do the same thing. You don't create change unless you create change. You don't get somewhere new by doing the same old things that you've always done. And if we're talking about the health and wellness space, especially when people say, "Oh, I want to start exercising," or "Oh, I want to eat better," or "Oh, I want to do these wellness things. I want to create these change in my life," which often that's what we're seeking. We're seeking change. This is something I want to change. This is something I want in my life. I don't currently have it. How am I going to go get it? I got to go do something that's different than what I'm currently doing to get me the success, the money, the abundance, the body, the whatever it is you want. Generally speaking, you're going to have to change something that you're currently doing. Because if you already had that thing, there would be no reason to change. So habits, especially a morning routine, is so vital to our overall mental health and physical well-being. Yes, it's boring, but it doesn't have to be uninspiring. So when doing a little market research for this topic on what are the 10 habits of highly successful people, I broke it down into the morning routine. What is it that successful people do in the morning to set them up for success? Now, I was happy that the things that I do were actually on this list because it's not rocket science. Like these are things, if you were to just Google this yourself, you're going to come up with these types of things because they're tried and true, just like investing. If you stick your money in, these kinds of accounts and you let it go, it generally speaking, your money's going to work for you. So if we see ourselves as an investment, if we see ourselves as being worthy of putting it on autopilot, we have to create the space for change. So, what kinds of things are going to be sprinkled into a morning routine that by and large are going to set you up for success? Now, the first one will not surprise you, and that is wake up early. There's something to waking up early. There's something to get a jump on the day. I love to wake up early. I love to get up before the sun comes up, because when I'm awake, when the sun comes up, it's like I've just done a sneak surprise attack on the day. It's like, whoop, look at me. I'm up doing something before the sun's up. I now have created more time in my day to get things done. But what I do in the morning time isn't necessarily doing things. As you'll see as I go through this list, this is actually my morning routine. So wake up early. Tried and true, successful individuals understand the value of starting the day early. Set your alarm clock so that you have ample time to do the rest of the things that you're going to do in your morning routine. This is something I teach in my courses. This is something I teach in my wellness membership, about the importance of creating these morning and evening routines. So, what's next on the list? Now, what's next on my list is meditation. Meditation is something that I really started doing consistently this year. And I honestly say I jump out of bed and I really look forward to doing it. To me, meditation is like a mini vacation. It really just sets the tone and allows me to get into the stillness that creates all sorts of, it spurs new ideas and creativity and calmness. But meditation or mindfulness, some people get hung up with the word meditation, but many successful people prioritize mental well-being by incorporating meditation and mindfulness into their morning routine. It helps you stay calm, focused, and centered throughout the day just by starting with that. And it also teaches you how to cultivate that sense of mindfulness and centeredness whenever you need it during the course of a day. It is tremendously beneficial as a teacher as well. The next thing I do, and sometimes this goes back and forth. I don't necessarily have a healthy breakfast next because I exercise next, but I do eat something. So I actually have like a pre-exercise breakfast, and then I actually have another breakfast. I'm like a hobbit. I have two breakfasts. So the first breakfast is really just kind of a high protein or a high fat or both. Usually like a bar, because I want to put especially fat and protein in my body before I go exercise, because that lowers cortisol. And notice I haven't said coffee anywhere in this list yet. So I have a small little nugget of protein to lower cortisol, to help set my blood sugar levels, to get my metabolism going. And if you're a woman over 40, having breakfast in the morning is super important for weight loss, actually. After that, I move my body. I do some sort of exercise. That exercise will vary. It'll be running, it'll be walking, it'll be swimming, although I'm not a huge swimmer. A lot of times it's biking or weight training or yoga, and I mix it up. I pick one and do a different one, and it's different all the time. But I move my body with intent for about 45 minutes to an hour every single day. That one element has made one of the most profound effects on my mental and physical well-being that I could have ever done. Doing this boosts energy levels, it improves focus, and obviously it's going to help overall mental and physical wellness. Now, the next thing I do, And sometimes this is a little bit out of order. Like I'll do all these things every single morning, but there might be a jockeying of position because after I meditate, I will often journal. Sometimes my journaling happens later after I've had my second breakfast before I start my workday. So there may be a little bit of movement in that. Sometimes after meditation, I'll just jot down my things I'm grateful for in my gratitude journal. I have a couple different journals. And I keep them right there in my meditation spot because sometimes I feel the need to journal right after meditation before I start exercising. And if I have enough time, if I've given myself a nice big buffer and my meditation practice was maybe a little bit less than the time I give myself to do, then I may journal right then. So journaling is another piece, but it may come before exercise. Sometimes it comes after exercise. After exercise is often when I'll have a cup of coffee or matcha. I actually prefer matcha. And then I have my second breakfast, which is a little bit heartier. And again, will be high protein, high fat, but then we'll also include fiber and some fruit, and often a probiotic. Now, the other thing that I do is, and again, this may come with the journaling, and this may come right away, right after meditation, or during my journaling session later in the day, but that'll be practicing affirmations and visualizations. It's important when you are creating and cultivating and building your life that you know the direction you're going. Visualization and affirmations help you get there. They help you plan out and see how you're moving in that day. Visualizing your goals and affirming your abilities to get there are tremendously helpful tools in helping you cultivate the life you want. And I forgot what number we're on. Let's just say 7. So let's talk about the other 3 things that I do. So usually at that point, then I will do some things to promote my business. So this is where the networking or connecting, building relationships. I'll often, if it's not still too early, reach out to friends, make a connection there. This is often when I spend a little time with my partner. We talk about the day. We talk about what our day looks like, maybe who's had what our plans are for dinner. We have that connection of what we're going to be doing that day. And sometimes this happens while we're exercising, because I often will exercise with a partner or with my groups of friends. So having that socialization and connecting and relationship building is also an important part of my morning routine. And another thing that's not that I do every day that I haven't mentioned yet is I also start the day with a big glass of water. So actually, even before I start meditating, I drink a big glass of water. Sometimes I sprinkle a little bit of sea salt in my water. Sometimes I feel like I add a little lemon juice to start my metabolism and help with the detox process and hydrate from the night before. So this is my morning routine. Once I've done all those things, then it's shower and time to start my day. The evening routine looks pretty similar in that, I will have that same sort of routine. Obviously, I'm not going to be exercising and I don't necessarily meditate at night, although you can, and it's a great time to do that. Often at night is when I'll have more time to write in my gratitude journal. This is where I might do a little bit more journaling in general, or I practice affirmations and visualization before I drift off to sleep. And those are how I bookmark my day. I start my day in this way every day. I end my day pretty much the same every day. But having those morning routines, having those set it and forget it types of things that you're going to do every day, not only is going to set you up for success, but those things that I just went over, all of those things that make up my morning routine and are very similar to the morning routines of successful people if you Google them. It's really about love. It's really about giving yourself time. It's saying to yourself, I'm going to get up early to do all these 7 things or whatever before the world comes in and takes their part. Like, you safeguard that. It's a priority. And then you are a priority. When you prioritize your time like this, when you make pouring into you the most important thing that you do, and you start your day with that, your world will change. And that's how we started the conversation. What do you need to change to get the results you want in life? And it's going to come with these quote unquote boring routines in a way that allows you to practice loving yourself every day. Because a morning routine truly is a gesture of love. We don't call it that, but that's what it is. So, what can you incorporate in your morning routine? What do you need to change about the way you start your day that can set you up for success? Sprinkle in a few of these. You don't have to do them all at one time. That's a recipe for failure. Our brains are hardwired, like I said before, to stay in the familiar. Anytime you introduce a new change, you're going to get a little pushback. So start with 1 or 2. How can you sprinkle in 1 or 2 of these that are going to help you start creating the morning routines that are going to set you up for success and help you achieve all the goals you have for your life? And if you need support in this is exactly why I created my membership. My wellness membership is completely designed to help you do these kinds of changes in your life, these micro changes, and provide accountability in a loving, supportive community where you've got tools, resources, ways to connect to yourself, ways to incorporate these small changes, which over time, just like an investment, are going to reap millions into your bank account of your life. Little deposits every day, loving gestures that are necessary for you to create the life that you want, a life of your desires, built upon little changes sustained over time. Dropping into my wellness membership helps you have the support that you need to get there. So if you're struggling with that, if you're like, Jada, I want to do all these things, I want to make these changes, I got some big plans. Awesome. Let me support you. That's why I'm here. That's why the Soul via Soul via Collective membership exists, to help us all encourage and love one another on our journeys to creating the life of our dreams.